bit underground information, but this is interesting. Okay, so the positive awakening. There is a positive. It's called the Great Awakening, and why is the Great Awakening happening? The short answer is because of the internet. Because of the internet. Because with the internet, people can, from the comfort of your happy home, you can make connections with random people on the internet, meet people, share things, learn all kind of things, amazing things, cure for cancer, this, that, everything. So you do that from the comfort of your home. You meet all the people, the videos, everything. It's a golden age, a renaissance of information and entertainment and unbelievable things. And most of these things are positive. Most of these things are positive. Not someone saying, oh, he's trying to kill you, trying to kill people, Satanism or destruction, kind of negative movies, bad movies, a scary movie. No, it's not that. It's not the scary movies and stuff. It is positive, amazing revelations and connections and learning things. So, and there's separately, there's a lot of people who say ascension, we're moving forward as a species into a new world, the new age movement, or ascension, we're becoming spiritual beings and stuff like that. Okay? Now, that may be good and all, but I take a very caution, very caution, red flag, learn, education, and be aware of this, because that's that positive movement. And the government, or some of the governments, have some very negative things which they are doing to counter this great awakening. They have the guillotines, which is unbelievable. They have hollow point bullets. They have economy crash. They have nuclear weapons are in place in installations in these countries now. So if you ignore that, you're ignoring a part of the world which really exists. Okay? The government has AI. They have the corporations, big corporate power, which taking the jobs from everybody. So they have a lot of different things, some of which are kind of nice on the surface but bad underneath, or maybe controversial. But other of them are downright scary things. Metal guillotines. Got nuclear weapons. India has nuclear weapons. China has nuclear weapons. Pakistan. They have these things in case of something, in case of an attack, etc. Plus, we have videos on the internet which are saying in the future, in the near future, 50 years, maybe 50 years from now, it's good to say 50 years, from now, 50 years far away, there are going to be 500 million people on the world, only 300. He actually says 300 million. Okay, so that's one of the scary, very, very scary. It's the dark side, very scary things. And there's a thing that says that there's a plan, these Albert Pike big plan. There's also a new world government, one world government, new world order, depopulation, all of these evil things, chemtrails, cyber warfare, all these things. And there is, yes, in the future, there's predictions to reduce Georgia Guidestones, predictions to reduce the world's population from the current 6 billion, lots of people, lots of happy families everywhere, to reduce that down to 300 million, which is about 90% of people dead, gone. So that's very scary, very, very, very strange, very, very scary, and most people will not believe that. Most people will say, the internet, not believe it. Okay? So it looks like in the future it's going to be the survivalists, mostly, the ones who are really tough and know how to survive, who can make it through. And those people who are near a farm or have a farm where they can grow food. Maybe you're next to an apple orchard and you're running it as a farmer, apple orchard or pecan groves, pecan trees. Maybe you're running a chicken farm with chickens and eggs. Some way of growing your own food. If you can grow your own food, you can get some shelter to stay warm, not a big deal. But growing your own food, you can eat your own food that you produce. Chicken, eggs, scrambled eggs. Apple farm, live off the apple trees. Okay, you need some self-defensive weapons and stuff like that. Because, there's that dark side. Now, we don't know if that's going to happen. And plus we have some of these evil mind games and trying to convince people to become Satanists and hate each other, which is real. They try to do that. Okay, and then what else? You can eat these the survivalists, the tough people, are going to be the one, and some of the survivalists are not going to live very long, because if there's no more food being produced in stores or whatever, none of this is happening, but in the far future it might happen. Maybe 50 years, 60 years in the future, it might happen. And remember that they usually try to pick a very bad guy, a bad leader, like Hitler, to instigate and lead these armies of death into war. So we see China today is fine, but in the future, they're working, they're productive, they're very happy and very wealthy and very successful, which makes them happy. But in the future, we might see an evil leader who has an agenda, or has a chip on his shoulder, like Hitler really had a horrible anger issue against the Jewish, and an anger issue with his own family, against his own father, that he let him down, and because of that he's going to go further. And the Germany lost World War I, and he was a messenger and worked as a messenger in World War I. Hitler worked as a messenger in World War I. Plus we have the Great Plan, which if you research the Great Plan, that's the Great Evil Plan, which they try to carry out. Angela Merkel and others, they're trying to carry out this great plan of making a one world society, one world government, and they also make the George Soros type thing, open world government, open world, this open society, socialize with the black people, socialize with the Latinos and stuff. Donald Trump doesn't like that, and he's making America is America, nationalism and stuff like that. Many countries are standing up to it, so there's a lot of these things are going on. But it is true that one bad person can spoil a party. One bad person can spoil a party. You got a great party with lots of happy people, and one guy comes up there and tosses in a smoke grenade and says, "Fuck you, motherfuckers! We're gonna kill you!" And everybody, "I'm gonna kill you!" Everybody, whoa, oh shit, ah! Everybody's afraid, and there's a lot of drama, afraid to, whoa, what the hell? And then scaring. One bad person can ruin the whole thing. Put a smoke grenade in there and cause a lot of trouble. And then everybody, but the outnumber. So the thing is, if the people are outnumbering the evil one, bad guy, then who wants to spoil the party and destroy things, then they can overcome because they outnumber. You're out of here, get out of here, make sure he leaves, and we got a party here, get the hell out of here. So if the good outnumbers the bad, then it might be possible theoretically to defeat these bad guys and their evil schemes. However, they have very bad weapons, nuclear weapons, other weapons, which can hit cities from far away. And just one weapon is a weapon. It's not a people. It's a very bad weapon. And a lot of other schemes and stuff like that. And some of these evil schemes rear their head from time to time. Anyhow, the point is that there is a New Age spiritual enlightenment movement. Okay, and it's called the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening. It's and it's kind of, that's the same thing as the new. It's all kind of the same thing. That the Great Awakening is the same thing as the New Age New Age movement. It's called the New Age movement, and it's supposed to be, you know, positivity and yoga and stuff like that, and being open to people and positive and stuff like that. And some people make jokes about that, haha, the stupid New Age, got the New Age on the brain. So that kind of person does not believe in that movement and thinks that the world is just the way it is and everything is going to be the same. And I tend to more kind of think in those terms sometimes. But I agree. I also am totally agreeing with the Great Awakening, the New Age movement. It makes sense that, you know, that there's a positive movements going on and stuff like that. Also, you have to keep in mind that the bankers or control the money. Whoever controls the money controls what happens, how much food there is, how much buildings are built, everything controlled by the banking system. But so it's really hard to say. But people have to follow your dream, go to work, and don't worry about it. That's what I'm doing. But you know, it looks the good guys have amazing stuff going, just amazing things, and the bad guys have some pretty unbelievably horrible, unbelievably bad things going on. And at this point, we do not have any proof that these unbelievably bad things are being taken away or are gone. Okay? And it's true that at no point in time in history, like 200 years ago, 500 years ago, at no point in time in history have these horrible bad things existed to such an extent. There have never been so many nuclear weapons on the world as there are today. There have never been those evil devices and evil things as there were as many as there are today. There's never been so much Satanism and film, all the film projects and movie projects that involving all the Satan death cult, those horrible creatures, and so much of that unbelievable kind of evil film projects and the kind of entertainment industry kind of going just kind of haywire, all out and stuff, as there was today. We've never had that before. 100 years ago, that was just the beginning of movies. 50 years ago, there was really nice movies. 50 years ago, the movies, for the most part, were like an adventure story, Huckleberry Finn and North by Northwest, and some amazing movies. There wasn't that much evil in the film industry. So that's what's going on. So it looks like there's and a lot of people say that if there's a lot of love in the world, then there's also a counter movement to that. Or if there's a massive amount of positivity, then there has to be some negative to kind of counteract that. I'm not a believer in that. I don't think that makes any sense. That's like saying that if you're doing great in life, then there's also going to be bad things. Or it's like, if you got a lot of food to eat, then there's a bad side to that. That doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like, you use the good things in life to survive off of. You don't need the bad things. But the bad things these evil things are powered by some powerful people, or people with money, or powerful people, or some dark forces, governments, and stuff like that. And they are in place. There's also the mark of the beast, which is a chip on right side or of the hand, right side of the forehead, or on your hand, and marks the people. And if you don't take the mark of the beast, you're killed. And this is a technology-driven buying and selling cult, and the Jewish are very much into that. A lot of other people are into this. This is the controlling of the buying and selling. So that is going on in the near future, maybe 50 years into the future. So maybe part of it is to postpone that much of the positive awakening and keep that going very, very slowly. That way you also postpone the bad stuff 50 years into the future and postpone the bad stuff. We also have horrible weather events, and it looks like God is angry, and just horrible storms and tornadoes and hurricanes destroying the land from the weather. And this is through a machine called HARP, Not everybody knows that. There's different harps all over the place, and these machines, these harp, can change the weather, and they create these storms. It's not random. It's not by accident, all of a sudden horrible weather. It's just unbelievable bad weather. So that's yet another one of these evil things. A weather like that, tornado, can destroy houses and to destroy your houses and kill people. That's weather. It's very large in size. So you've got the Great Awakening. You've got all these positive movements. But I tend to say, I mean, that's fine. You get the positive stuff, but, there's also some of this very negative stuff. So the negative stuff has not been removed. Why has it not been removed? Because it's not been removed, because people are not removing it. They're not into that. And they haven't done the removal of it, of these bad things. Also the mark of the beast is apparently connected to these evil devices. So it's like either take the mark of the beast or you're killed. So that's something that we never saw before in history. Usually currency is like, if you don't have any money, you're poor. You don't have any money. But now the money is becoming integrated with technology. This is true. It's happening. You go to a store, any store today, you put the credit card in the thing, and now you're waiting, sitting here waiting for the thing to read your credit card. Ding, 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 ding. And so it's going to check your credit card and see if it's going through. The technology in money is in, and it checks your person and see your record. If your record is good, the transaction goes through. If the record is not good, no transaction. You cannot buy anything. They're trying to make a cashless society, take the cash away so they can check every single person, control everything. All these things are going on, and there's a positive spiritual enlightenment movement due to friendship on the internet, meeting everybody, can solve every problem, and you've got some horribly negative things as well. So for people that take caution and don't go too wild on these positive things, because there's also some bad things. So you should stay very conservative and kind of do what you're supposed to do, and not be a big protester or a big rioter, or I don't know. It's unknown as far as what it is, because the bad side will try to scare you, and they have a lot of evil things to scare people. You also got the Christians on the internet who are saying that, if that's what I'm supposed to do, that's what I'm supposed to do. If I'm supposed to die for this, then I'm supposed to die for this, so it can kill me. So it's a kind of a very defeatist attitude. You're willing to die just for this evil scheme or whatever? What the hell? So stay away from it. And that's what's going on. A positive movement, and it looks like there's a counter movement to that positive movement. And it looks like it's a direct counter movement to the positive movement. And it's because of the technology is enabling people to do anything now. Learn this and learn that, and it's all free and everything. So you can see so many things with the open technology, the wild, wild west of internet and technology, so you can do all these things. And the dark forces are trying to make things it looks like at this point they're preparing, because they have not used these things yet. They're preparing to have these things for a darker future when they maybe cut off the internet, people, or try to shut down the internet. So there'll be social movements to stop them from shutting down the internet, because the internet should be free. There's nothing wrong on the internet. With nothing wrong with that kind of stuff. So it should be open. So the dark forces try to shut that down and put in things that give them power and empower them, so they can make money and profit off of the people. Lots of money and power, profit off the people. And that doesn't do the people any good. They don't want that. They want to be into the good stuff they are into. So, the government, they use their kind of power, and the people use their kind of power. So it's a very different energy. And people that are more controlling or oriented will do the kind of hard power, or if you own a lot of properties, you kind of got that hard power about you. But if you're enlightened somehow, you had some kind of awakening, some kind of enlightening. Maybe you're a Christian, maybe you're a newly born Christian, maybe you have a great girlfriend, now you're positive about life. Maybe you're living your dream, now you're so positive and you're like, wow, this is great. So if you're somehow positive about life, you're going to gravitate toward these positive things. If you don't care about that and you think this is bullshit, or you're not making money off that, you don't care about that, you're going to gravitate toward the other way, which is, just do your job and make money and that's it. That's that kind of attitude, or more of a control, or I got technology, I got my shit, that's, kind of blow it off. You're more of a power-based person, versus the left side. These people are fun. They're based on fun. They're based on freedom, based on learning things, sharing, meeting people. So that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So definitely I tend to err on the side of education and preparation. Stay secure, prepare against things a little bit. And because if you look at the 1920s was known as the Roaring Twenties. The stock market, for the first time people had cars. The 1920s. Businesses booming, the railroad is in business everywhere, big railroad, cars everywhere, a boom, everybody happy and learning, magazines, newspapers, the first movies, telephone and electricity, and homesteads and farms of the 1920s. And right at the end of the 20s, 1929, how obvious, right? The last year of the 1920s, 1929, stock market crash, and then plunging the world into a bad depression in the 1930s. Horrible economic cutback, unemployment, people starving, and horrible. So not just the 20s was a short period of time. And then right away after that, horrible depression, hard times, very, very bad times, horrible things, which then led the rise to fascist nationalist leaders who says, we're going to put people back to work, we're going to build factories and everything, we're going to get these people working. And that was Hitler, the Stalin in Russia, FDR in America, and the Mao Zedong in China. So the depression there led to extremist leaders who kind of by force, we're going to work no matter what, we're going to work, this extremism ideology. And due to this extremism ideology, in the case of Hitler, not all, but in the case of Hitler, he started a war which led to a gigantic war, a war that was bigger than any other war. They thought World War II would be a very short war. He thought of blitzkrieg tactics, tanks driving fast, capture things, but his idea was to take over the whole world. Don't forget that. Hitler's idea was to take over the whole world. Period. The Japan from that side with aircraft carriers, they believed they were the chosen ones, and they built this stuff with their own money. They were funded somehow. They were funded. Hitler was funded. Somebody bankrolled his operation to the tune of billions and billions and trillions of dollars in today's money. Well, he wanted to take over the world, so he attacked all the countries in Europe because he's extremely, extremely successful. Tanks captured every country in Europe, everywhere, and the Japanese from the other side take over the whole. And he had plans to build a nuclear bomb in the V2 rocket. He planned to put the rocket on New York City, destroy New York City, and continue and continue and continue. And as they gain countries, they gain the oil resources of the countries. As they gain countries, they gain the manpower. They capture all the people and put them in work camps, and they're producing bullets. They're producing food, bullets, shoes, shirts. The labor camps, produce product, produce work, produce. And so they get more and more, and it becomes like a factory system, like a gigantic factory system where they production and larger and get all the land. And meanwhile, they're at war with other countries, which also are producing the weapons and fighting on different fronts and stuff. And then that ended with the end of the war. So the point is that the optimism of the 1920s, all this great stuff is going on, led to what? It didn't lead to all this great stuff going on. It led to a horrible depression, crash in the 1930s. Everybody lost everything except the wealthy or the people who knew what they're doing. And all that optimism led to a horrible depression and recession, to total crash, and then led to extremist leaders, hard times, desperate measures, extremist leaders who went to war and killed almost all the population, and people were drafted to fight and shoot each other to the death, where they shot each other to the death. And that's the truth. That's what actually happened. So this great enlightening and everything, most likely, history repeats itself. It happened in World War One, happened in the Civil War, World War One, World War Two. So history repeats itself. So a logic in history repeating itself tells you, almost for sure, in the future, maybe 50 years, whatever, 45 years from now, this optimism and everything will lead to an economic crash. After the economic crash, people will be starving. There'll be economic crash. It may not look that way right now, but that's what they're trying to do. Probably in the future, it could be that. Economic crash, then to the rise of extremist leaders who have a new extremist ideology and millions of followers like Obama or like the Democrats today. They have this new ideas and millions of followers. Remember, the poverty people, just millions, lots of them. Rich people, not so many. Not so many. People that are well-to-do, yeah, it's fine. But rich people, not so many. Poverty, poor people, lots. There's a lot of poor people, or people that are kind of, barely hanging on. They got a job and they can just pay their bills. Barely. There's a lot of people in that situation, and then the rich people, not so many. Who are extremely rich. Some people that are well off, yeah. Some quite a lot. So the point is that yes, because of these masses of people, socialism occurs. Everybody votes, and the masses of the rich people stay home. I'm not going out there. Hell no. Meanwhile, all the masses of people, yeah, we want the new government, socialist. It turns to socialistic movements, empowering the government to make these kind of fascist empires. And you got this evil leader, some leader, whatever, Chinese or whatever, could make and then they go to war and they draft everybody. Everybody dies in this horrible war. So the positive movement, it could be going on, but people have to, wake up. All your pie in the sky here could be leading to history repeats itself. Bankers' wars, they control the money, then they say what happens. They control the money, then that's where the money goes according to who controls the money. If you're independent, you have your own business, you control the money, you say what happens within your own business. So, positive movement of the 1920s turned into a great recession and depression, which led to fascism and war and destruction. So the same thing can happen in the future. So if everybody thinks everything is great, it's not only great. You got to prepare for recession, upcoming recession, and things like that.